Happy holidays, everyone! My voice cracked. I am back and I am trying to get a good upload schedule. My back room doesn't get heated, so it's very cold back here where I do my stuff most of the time for videos, but I'm trying. It is now Christmas time, holiday time, Hanukkah time, Kwanzaa time. I am in my comfy PJs. They're not Christmassy, but what do you want from me? This video is going to be DIY Christmas gift ideas. I try to do one every year. There might be some repeat ideas in this one, but I still wanted to get something uploaded this month. I feel really bad that I haven't. So without further ado, let's get to it. For the first DIY gift, we are doing DIY candles. You'll need soy wax or a Dollar Tree candle, some pigment powders or crayons, fragrance oil if you want the candle to be scented, which if you do, you will also need a food or candy thermometer that you will only use for this project. Do not use it on food before or after, that would be really gross. You'll also need candle wicks, a very sturdy measuring cup such as Pyrex brand, and something to stir with that can handle very high temperatures. The first thing you're going to want to do is fill a pot with water. Next, you're going to put your Pyrex measuring cup into the pot of water, and then you're going to put wax into it until you think you have enough to make the amount for the candle you're making. Then, put the heat on no higher than medium and stir the wax occasionally until it's all melted. Leave the heat on until the temperature of the wax reaches 180 degrees, and when it reaches that temperature, that means it's time to add the fragrance oil. I'm using this Pina Colada scent from Happy Kawaii Supplies on Etsy. How much fragrance oil you add is entirely up to you, just be careful because the more you add, obviously the stronger the candle will smell. Next, I'm adding some pink pigment powder. Again, however much you add is up to you. I try to use more because I have to remember that when the wax dries it's white, so it will lighten the color. Once you're happy with the amount you've added, just go ahead and stir it all in. The trickiest part of this is stabilizing the wick. I tried to use hot wax on the bottom of the stand, which obviously was not a good idea because it all melted once I poured the rest of the hot wax into the candle. The method I used after this was wrapping the top of the wick around a pencil and then balancing it in the center, and that worked much better. Leave it to harden overnight, and then you'll be left with a very professional looking candle, and as long as you added the fragrance oil in at the right temperature, it'll smell great, and you won't even believe that you made this. I think it would be a great gift. Now for the other method with the Dollar Tree candle and crayons, all you're going to want to do is line a baking sheet with some tin foil, put that into the oven, and then put the candle on top, and then turn your oven on to 300 degrees and leave it for 20 minutes. It should be fully melted by then. If not, leave it in for a few minutes longer, but not too long or it could shatter. Remove it from the oven and add some pieces of broken crayon if you want the candle to be colored, and find something to balance the wick on. Next, add your fragrance oil. I'm using a combination of candy cane and Christmas wreath, so it has a nice seasonal pine and peppermint scent. When you add the fragrance oil, you'll notice little bits of wax. That's totally normal. While the wax is still melted, if you find any extra drippings around the edge of the candle, just go ahead and wipe that off, then let it harden. Once my candle hardened, it didn't have as much wax as I would have liked, so I took this extra Dollar Tree candle that I bought, and then I melted it down and poured that into the rest of the other candle, so I kinda just topped it off. Since I didn't color mine and it was looking a little plain, I used some puffy paint and glued on some buttons to make the candle look like a snowman, and I think this turned out really cute. The next gift is some DIY soap. It's just melt and pour, so it's really simple. All you'll need is some melt and pour soap base, a silicone mold to pour it into, something to stir it with. If you want it scented, some skin-safe fragrance oil. Definitely make sure it's skin-safe because you don't want to give someone a rash for Christmas. And for some extra little embellishments, I'm just using dried up flowers, in this case dried pink rose petals. I'm also using this skin-safe slime coloring. I decided to try and go with a double boiler method this time. I took 2 pots, filled one with water, and stacked an empty one on top of that. Then I put a piece of the soap base into the pot, and I just boiled the water on the underneath until the soap began to melt, and then I stirred that. Once it was all melted, I added this rose fragrance oil from Happy Kawaii Supplies. I like to add more to this because it is much more thick than the candles, so I definitely want to make sure you can smell the scent. I stirred the fragrance into the melted soap base, and then I poured it all into my silicone molds. Hi, quick important interruption. This craft is a lot more flammable than I realized, so please do it much more neatly than I did, and don't pour the soap on a stovetop. I got some soap into the burner, and it started 3 fires. Luckily they were small and I was able to extinguish them on time, but please, please, please be careful. And if you're younger or clumsy like me, I recommend adult supervision. So now I'm not making soap unless my boyfriend is home. Fires were started, mistakes were made. Now I'm putting a few drops of the red slime coloring into the soap, and then I'm getting my stirring stick and just swirling it around to try and give it a marble effect, but I learned afterwards that if you put the coloring in the bottom of the mold and then pour the soap, it'll look 10 times better. Now I'm just sprinkling a little bit of my rose petals onto the top of the soap, which again would have worked better had I put them on the bottom before I poured the soap. If you do decide to use crushed flowers in your soap, do not use a lot, otherwise it can clog drains. After letting it cool for a few hours, it is now time for the most satisfying part, which is popping it out of the mold. Give it a look and admire your hard work. Hopefully it looks better than mine. Take the tips I gave and learned the hard way. For a little extra touch, I am just putting it into this very cute, fancy drawstring bag that I got off Etsy for super cheap. I think it goes well with the color of the soap, and it's just a really classy way to gift it. This next gift idea is pet art. I actually did a video of this with my dog Marley a while back, but in case you missed it, here's a little recap. You'll need a small blank canvas or a sheet of paper, non-toxic paint, definitely make sure it's non-toxic, peanut butter that does not contain xylitol, and a plastic Ziploc bag. First you'll want to get your Ziploc bag and open it up. Then you're going to want to take your peanut butter and again check the ingredients, make sure it does not have xylitol in it, and then just spread a thin layer of that on the surface of the Ziploc bag. Once it's been covered with a thin layer of peanut butter, put it aside and then get your canvas or sheet of paper. I'm using a sheet of paper because I did not have any more mini canvases. Also get some of the colors of paint you'll want. Put some splats of paint in random places, but be sure to leave a few inches at the top of the paper so it leaves room for the Ziploc bag's edge. Unless you're using a canvas that's small enough to fit entirely into the sandwich baggie, then go nuts. Once you're satisfied with the amount of paint you've put on, put it into the sandwich baggie with the peanut butter on it, and seal the bag as much as you can. If you're using paper, you should trim it down so the entire bag can be sealed. I did not think of that until just now. Next, you'll just have whoever you're giving this to's pet lick the peanut butter off, assuming it's a dog. You could also do it with cats and have them use lickable treats or just have them step on it. Or even if they have a small rodent, I used to have guinea pigs, so just have them walk all over it, but be sure they don't chew the bag because guinea pigs definitely would do that. If the canvas or paper is too long for the sandwich baggie and you didn't trim it, you'll see that I'm holding it in place to make sure no paint seeps out from the bag since it can't be sealed, so be sure you do that too to make sure the pet doesn't ingest any of the paint. When whatever treat it is you're using has run out, or when the pet is done stepping on the bag and has lost interest in doing so, just go ahead and take the canvas or paper out of the bag very carefully so you don't leave any streaks or smears in their artwork. Once you've taken it out of the bag, let it sit to dry for about a day, especially if you're using paper because it will be very, very wet. Next, sign the pet's name at the bottom of it as well as the year they made it. Obviously, if you wanted to add something like a little message from the pet, you could do that too. Ever since I learned about this idea, I have been in love with it, and I truly as a pet owner think that this would be one of the most meaningful gifts anybody could ever receive. That's gonna be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for those who have waited and stood by. I'm so sorry it's been so long. I hope you guys have a great holiday season. I'll try and get at least one more upload before the holiday. If not, I'll definitely be back by New Year's with some more content. Thank you again so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!